While people join, would love to know how was your New Year, by the way? You're on mute.
It was really good. I had family coming down from different parts of the world and countries. It was really nice.
Oh wow. So so we were a little we were thinking of whether to really have this right now, because this entire week is like we don't know like who will be there when 3rd Jan, then Christmas and all. How is the business like? Have you seen that around this time there is a certain tip that's come, or that's going just perfectly fine? Like, is India replicating the US trend of people going away all of a sudden from a demand standpoint and from work standpoint, or everything's the same?
So for us, we're not a very high impulse category, but what we've seen is on leave days, let it be a New Year or a Christmas, people have a little bit more time to spend on their screens. So our sales tend to get better. Our footfalls on the website tend to get better. So it just means people have a little bit more spare time in order to maybe spend time on their phone or shop for things. So any public holiday does us good.
Oh, nice. There's one more coming in January.
Yeah.
Awesome. You're in Chennai right now, is it?
Yeah. We're based out of Chennai.
Based out of Chennai, right? I think you'd come in the Bangalore event.
Yes.
Yes. I heard great things about that, by the way.
I think maybe Abhishek was too kind, but thank you so much.
No, I think he meets a lot of people, but it's not like every time he has great things to say. So I think he meant it. And that's why I think as Elevate, I'm sort of like very excited about having you on board in this, So let's see.
Great. Hopefully, I'll be able to add some value to everybody's Friday.
Yeah, yeah. I'm sure. And I went through the entire list of people who have registered, right? So they're founders from across who are coming and who are building different kind of startups, right? I could see some who are into snacking and they have some snacking related questions,
Mhm.
some who are in traditional businesses. So overall, I think an exciting set of people.
Sure.
Let's see how this goes. I think let's take 2 more minutes and then let's start. People keep typically joining in.
Sure.
Yeah.
Works.
Okay. All right. I think we can start. So, welcome everybody to Elevate Pulse Season 1 and Episode 2. Today we are very very excited to have you on board, and I think some of you have are joining us for the second episode. I saw some faces in the second in the first episode too last Friday. We have these every Friday. Today's topic is winning customer trust in a competitive market. Now, before we dive in, would uh, want to share some light on what we're doing and why we're doing, right? So, guys, Elevate is a growth accelerator for D2C startups by D2C Insider. It is also an opportunity for not just accelerate your brand, but also get your first check of up to 1 crore. Through the startup accelerator program, what we do is we have about 20 plus live sessions, a structured learning program. We have a demo day, we have one-to-one mentorship sessions, and enormously value addable credits from some incredible enablers, right? Our speakers and mentors are people who have done it already and who have immense value to add in your own startup journeys. And if people are looking, if you're an early stage startup founder in D2C who's a revenue of 5 to 25 lakh, think that you need a support system like this, please go to our website and fill in the details. We'll get in touch. Right now, why Elevate Pulse Live? I think um, an accelerator is a bigger doorway for people to go from a 0 to 1 journey in their entire startup journey in the early days. But Elevate Pulse is our initiative to actually open a window there, right, and get some really powerful speakers who are building some really phenomenal startups and give you an opportunity to learn from them. And to that extent, today we have with us Madhumitha Kumar. She is the founder of the Indus Valley. Madhumita, a former consultant at Deloitte, launched this venture after hosting over 100 successful events across Chennai and Bangalore, with an ambitious mission to transform 100 million Indian kitchens, which is a great vision, which is like a BHAG sort of a goal, right? She and her co-founder, not only in business but also in personal life, Jagdish, have built a brand that deeply resonates with its audience. Their commitment to quality and innovation has earned them unwavering customer trust, fueling a phenomenal 227% revenue increase in the last year itself. This success is not just about numbers, guys. It's about growing community of people who believe in their vision of healthier, toxin-free kitchens, right? And I cannot think of anyone better to talk about how to actually win customer trust in a category which might be so cluttered, right? So welcome, Madhumita. Thank you so much for taking out time. Over to you. uh, would love to know your journey. To begin with, would love to know your journey, how you transitioned from a consulting background to deciding that you want to start a venture of your own, and what's happened thereafter.
So, thank you so much. Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for taking out time for the session today. I'll try my best to make it as useful as possible. So, a little bit about me. I started the Indus Valley in 2016, prior to which I did not have any industry experience. I was a consultant in Deloitte. For me, it was more from a very personal need. I thoroughly enjoy cooking. And after I got married, most of my cookware was what my mother had set up for me, a lot of non-sticks and aluminum. I figured that in order to get the more authentic tastes which my party would make, I would need more, probably clay pots or, iron cookware. Living in Bombay, I thought that would be really easy. You'll just go to a nearby shop and you'll get sorted. But what I understood is that all of the leading brands are offering solutions in non-stick. Any solution that was present in which was good for you, let it be in clay or even iron for that matter, was predominantly unbranded and in a dusty corner. We do not know the sources. So this led us to understand that there is a potential here. So back in the day, we had Facebook groups where people used to talk to strangers. So we dropped in a lot of posts there. There were other people who were equally curious. So that kind of stuck with me enough to quit and consider this. So the motto with which we started was to ensure that the cookware does nothing but good for you. So either it should add goodness to your food, like in the case of cast iron, or it should at least remain inert like in stainless steel, where it doesn't really impact your food and helps you retain as much as nutrients as possible. So that's how the journey itself started. It was more personal. But what I've understood specific to this is we have to ensure that we are maintaining that motto across. This is from product ideation to delivery to what kind of channel partners you use, and even in your, say, your return experience. We've learned all of that the hard way. Trust is built over time, and that we need to do it with the understanding of what the customer wants. So you had mentioned that we've done a lot of events. The first 3 years, what my co-founder and I did is every weekend we'll definitely be there in any society or a mall, just trying to sell our products. We've tried to change the pricing. We've tried to change based on customer feedback. A lot of customers loved us into their homes because of the fact that we were in the society anyway. So they gave us feedback, you know what, these are some things you could improve. Why don't you consider this product? This is expensive, this is cheap, and so on and so forth. So that was very, very fundamental for us to ensure that we have a good understanding. That customer understanding then goes into building trust. Once you are really clear about what they're looking for, you can build in those trust pillars in order to ensure that they're getting the best of what they want. So we've gone a long way from that. We've kind of institutionalized the customer feedback part. Our team today takes care of the customer calls. We have dedicated team member who talks to customers on a daily basis. This is to get data as to where are some areas of improvement for us, where are some places where our competitors are doing better, what are some product gaps that we potentially have. And Amazon is a great place for you to be very data savvy. So let's say you really want to launch a kids clothing brand, and you found a niche that, you know, maybe all the clothing that exists is very rough on their skin and you want to go gentle. So then have the thesis verified by looking at all of the review feedback. Is the fact that the children need softer clothing a problem? Read all the reviews, get that data dump. It's very easy. So when once you have that hypothesis, definitely talk to potential customers, make a couple of samples and see and test if that's something that they would pay for. And other than calls, we do home visits. So when it comes to cookware, every home owns 25 to 30 different pieces of cookware. So we have people from our product team, marketing team, quality team, and a few other volunteers as well who will go visit customer homes. What we've learned is very instrumental in both communication and ensuring that we make improvements in our product or understand where are some potential gaps where we could be working on. So what we've understood is that trust is built when you're closer to the customer, you're listening to their problem, and you're able to offer solutions to their problem. The other pillar of trust is to ensure that you communicate if you've made a mistake. So let's say, especially in cookware, some components could be fragile. If something has gotten damaged, would they like a replacement? Would they like a refund? That experience also needs to be as good as possible from our end. Yes, we've made mistakes, but we keep learning. So what that will do is next time they will still give you a chance. What I've learned is it's not the customer who doesn't have any snag, you know, no problem kind of an order who orders again. It's the customer who potentially had a small issue with you. She reached out, got it fixed. She is going to be, on top of a hill screaming, you know, go buy from them, because if something goes wrong, they're going to stand by you. The other piece is some of these cookwares need a little bit of support for people to get started. So it's not as straightforward as a non-stick. So we have a lot of content to help people. We have a dedicated customer care team who answers all of these questions. So trust is built based on the customer gap, your understanding, and what are these levers that you build based on which they're able to have that trust on you. What we understood is customers are continuously asking for, say, test reports. So we send authenticity cards with our products with detailed test reports that are available in case if that's something that they're really looking for. So over time, you can keep adding and fortifying those pillars, and you have to work this back in your supply chain as well. So, for example, if you're in food, or in our case, very food allied in cookware, ensure what kind of raw materials are used, at what proportion, are they following the process that you're saying. We have a detailed in-house QC team. We do not do the manufacturing, but we have a QC person stationed where the manufacturing occurs. So each batch is tested at a process level to ensure no deviation is occurring at a process level. Because otherwise, what might happen is it might look okay to the naked eye, but while using, a good product will be different from a product that was not adherent to the process of that needs to be done. So, investing heavily on quality, both in the sense of time and commitment, and getting industry experts also definitely helps. So, as long as the customer is happy with the purchase, both as a product and a service, and if we make a mistake, we're able to make amends, they'll definitely give us another chance. And that's a very cyclical process where we'll have to repeat it and build that trust.
Got it. So, Madhumita, you talked about your journey, right? So, wherein initially you were able to also access the customers in their homes, etc., right? But now, with the entry barrier of starting a brand, let's take a brand for example, is so low that anybody can, really start source a product or maybe innovate on a product, but they can just go live online, right? So, this entire touch and feel thing of and having access to live audience becomes limited unless you do a lot of pop-ups, right? So imagine a startup which is starting out right now and has just set up a website, have the products ready, and they are on the way to go to the first 100 orders, right? Now there are two parts to it. How do I create that strong customer feedback back loop to know whether my product is good? And B, uh, based on the feedback that I'm getting, uh, how do I decide on what to really iterate? Because eventually customers, not everybody will be happy with it. How do I really identify between people who I do not want as my customers and whose inputs I should actually take in and really innovate, and then iterate, and then again go after the next 100 customers?
Sure. So, in the very early stage, to be honest, it's going to be hard because
Yeah.
even we are figuring it out and nobody gets it right at the first go. People are going to pivot, they are going to change. And that's a function of what is our strength as a founder, what is the value as a company. For example, we've always been very clear on pricing that we need to be affordable premium and we shouldn't be extremely expensive because we want to reach more homes. But somebody else could take a different leaning and they will say no, I will provide the best quality possible even if it's at a cost. So this is only for people who are willing to go to any lengths in order to get the best in class. If that is their intention, then their sampling everything would vary. So for the first 100, what I would say is experiment, play around with it a little. Definitely call everybody who's placed an order. If they love, especially if it's a very tactile product where there's a touch and feel, like for example, a toy or a cookware or an appliance, definitely request them to allow a home visit. Somebody will allow you, somebody will be kind, and also talk to people who went to abandoned cart. So that's a very good insight. And the other place to get insight is the search bar. So sometimes the customer will be searching for something. Let's say a kadai could also be called a Dutch oven or a casserole or different names. So sometimes you might have the product, but then the customer might leave thinking that you potentially don't. Or they might, in case of abandoned cart, they might have incomplete information, especially online. What we understood is the customer wants to know if you can, what kind of food you can cook in a product. Is it induction safe or not? Is it dishwasher safe or not? So because they did not have answers to these questions, they typically abandon cart and leave. So as much as possible, as long as these are repeated questions, you can definitely work on it. With respect to the fact of which should you work on, which should you not, I think that's a little bit of a gut call initially, because when you have only 100 200 customers, different people might have different opinion. But it's at least nice that you're able to listen and record them, keep recording them, and eventually a pattern might emerge. So like for example, a pattern that emerged when we started doing the call is the fact that people wanted to know what they can cook in it. So can they cook like their everyday meal in it? How to wash and clean? So this is very intuitive, right? This is something that we'd like to know. If you go to a utensil store, you would definitely ask, how am I supposed to wash this? Can I store it? Uh, no, multiple. These are normal, regular questions which we missed having information on our website before. So based on the data that we got in the abandoned cart calls, we were able to add that in. So there is no substitute to talking to the customer. I understand you might not be able to like physically go and talk to them. The other thing that I typically do is I go to the offline stores and then I talk to people, and I get their input. And I also ask my team to do that. So they might not be buying my product, but they're buying somebody else's product, which is a very comparable solution. So then we typically pick their brain as to what they're buying. Another place is promoters. So let's say if I'm selling an air fryer, maybe currently I'm not selling as many today, but customers are buying air fryers. So it's a very good idea to go to these, uh, more modern trade kind of stores where there might be promoters who will give you input as to what are some features people are asking for. So these are some data points that typically help us understand what is happening. And there is no substitute to online search term analysis. Go to Amazon, go to the Flipkart database, go to Google's database. So what people are searching for is very, very, very important. So as long as your product is able to fit into that gap, uh, that will be helpful. So this is for an active demand. In case of a latent demand, then you will have to look at what kind of problems they're searching for. Like, for example, no one would have searched for an onion hair oil before, but
Yeah.
they would have searched for hair loss solutions. So, are you going to solve a problem, or are you just going to directly give a product which they're searching for? Today, since more than 50% of mobile phone sales online, someone's going to sell a electronic device like a headphone. It's very intuitive that they're going to sell it online. So a lot of data is available. You can use proxies, talk to people. Just don't talk to friends and family because that really jades our point of view. And try to make prototypes and see how much people are willing to pay and talk to people who've paid money for your product, because that means they have so much conviction that they've paid money, and their feedback is very, very valuable in that sense.
Makes I think many a times what happens is that, like you had a personal experience, but you validated it from the consumer eventually, right? Which is the
Correct.
most important part. Sometimes our personal experiences can be very limiting also. And then if we go ahead and just talk to our friends and family, they mirror our behavior typically, right? And it's very important that people get that validity. And actually, it's not that difficult, right? So I will just for everybody's help, I'm going to put this link in the chat, which is Google's trend link. It's available to everybody. And typically, you can search for the problem that you're trying to solve, figure out if people are actually searching for it or not. And like Madhumita said, you're very right. Amazon gives it all, right? It's very easy there. All right. Now, considering that your brand is in a market where it's uh, an entirely unorganized play, right? And there's so many small shopkeepers, and you build those relationships with, like, if I have to talk about my mother, she still goes to that one dukan that will be there somewhere in Delhi, because she knows that she will get the best product there at the best value, right? And but she's not somebody who's averse to online. She's somebody who will also buy products online. Now, for consumers like these, I think one hook that online brands have is storytelling, right? So how do brands crack that storytelling to actually a go deep into a cluttered market, either online or very offline heavy, unorganized heavy, and secondly get this consumer who is so used to their own ways in this clutter, right? So how do you crack that?
Sure. So it's a very multi-pronged approach. So with respect to, I'll take our own industry. So what we've understood is that the way people are getting influenced has changed. So today, if you've decided to set up some stuff for your kitchen at your home, you wouldn't probably call your mother first. You might quickly check on Amazon or Flipkart. You might, as you scroll through some recipes, you might get some inspirations as to what kind of cookware or utensils that you need, and based on that understanding, you're going to buy your products. So the influencing today happens mainly through social media influencers in food. Even deciding what sabji you're going to have with roti, you just take an inspiration from a reel, right? Why not try something new? So that has definitely changed. So we are not looking to the old guards in the sense of our parents in order to seek inspiration. So as a brand, if you're able to figure out how to create content by yourself or work with content creators who are influencers either through barter or paid, that helps getting the word out there so that people understand how exactly to use the product. And the question of online offline, the beauty of online is that definitely the storytelling piece, and you can really customize it. So what we've seen is that despite being in this industry since 2016 and doing a fairly decent scale, when we went offline last year, we realized the shopkeepers did not know us, because the beauty of Meta and Google is that you target to a particular gender. So for us, when you look at the data, it's nearly 50-50 on gender. what when we make the customer calls, we understand that the end user, more than 85-90% of the case, is a woman. So they might have potentially used their partner's phone or their father's phone in order to place an order, but the end user is typically a woman. So you're so targeted that sometimes even the shopkeeper might not even know that your brand exists. So on the flip side, I'm seeing that as a positive as well as for a new brand, where you can tell your story to the targeted person, ensure that they're aware, tell what problem you're trying to solve for them, so they're able to buy. So that is a very simple play for them. But when it comes to offline, it's more of a distribution game. So if
Hmm.
someone were to go offline very premature, what might happen is they might not be able to command a certain premium. So they might say, okay, brand X is giving me 20% margin. Why don't you give me 30? Then I will push. So online allows you to create that pull. So when a customer goes to the shop, they'll be like, hey, I want this Indus Valley tawa. So then, as long as the product is selling off the shelf, he will be okay with working with reasonable margins and will be okay in ensuring that the payments are collected in time. So it's never an either or in the sense of a channel. Today, the decisions are made in a very blended way. You might get a decision in a WhatsApp group. You might ask quickly as to, hey, what kind of cookware should I buy on a group? And a friend might reply, and you're going to take that recommendation and you might quickly place an order on Amazon. She might even share a link saying, hey, this is the one that I have. So the decisions are made digitally because it takes a lot of our mind share. And once that's done, it doesn't matter where you're shopping. So for a brand, it could be today that they're online. Eventually, they will have an offline footprint depending on how they would like to prioritize it. And then they can take the win from that as
Got it. Um, Makes sense. I think you also touched upon influencers, right? And early on, influencers were very key with respect to, a customer used to think that it's authentic review that's coming. But now with paid partnerships, etc., as a customer, it becomes a thin line, right? Because you know that this person is going to eventually just take up whatever partnership comes their way, right?
well.
So, how do you make that balance? Like, uh, is it becoming too noisy to go towards influencers as a brand, or is it become a bare minimum that you have to do this much and then figure out how to differentiate and get add a layer of more authenticity there, right? So how as a brand, early stage brand, should you really solve that, right? So that you are not just taken as any other paid partnership that influencer might be doing.
Sure. So that's really hard. But what we have done is that we do both paid partnerships and affiliate programs. So
Okay.
what the affiliate program will do is some partners who are on the affiliate program are working with us for more than 3 years. So let's say you are a food content creator and you are on the affiliate program. Because you get a commission of the sale, you might be more likely to post the brand content more frequently, and the authenticity builds that way. Instead of you telling like once in November and then forgetting about it, you might have a scheduled time where you're using the product, giving feedback, which builds a lot of authenticity.
Hmm.
And the other thing that we've definitely seen with the influencer program is you have to really hold the narrative in control. So, what is the influencer telling is more important than the fact that the product is being shown.
Hmm.
So, in our case, there might be a lot of pain points that our customer is worried about. She might be worried, okay, it's healthy, but it's heavy. How do I handle it? Okay, this is good, but how do I clean it? So, are you trying to address that? Is that going to solve your problem? Or are you trying to solve for views? Like, do you just want people to know that you exist in the first place? So,
Hmm.
what we have seen is that when we cut back on our influencer spends, our Meta Google ads slightly dip. So it's more top of the funnel. It's so that people know that you exist. So when you run an ad, the chances of them clicking or even going to your website gets a little bit higher. So the same goes for any other thing as well, right? So the more you are seen, the chances of them interacting is higher. And I think the customer is aware that it might be paid, and especially today that you have to call it out. but they understand it's a good opportunity. As long as you make the content really good and engaging for the customer, they are going to consume it, and it will stay in the back of their mind while they make a decision on purchase.
Okay, sure, makes sense. I think we actually have a question right away, and since this is contextual, I will just ask it right away. Kanishk Rathi asks that how to get affiliate partners and how to convince influencers to join affiliate program, and I think that's very valid because we also sort of planned this in Almo back in the day, and very early, and we were not able to crack it at that point in time, right? So how do you do that?
Maybe it's a function of our category, but what we've seen is that a lot of customers have three to four recipe makers or bloggers whom they typically tend to go back to on a regular basis. So as they consume more of that content, both people who write recipes and people who put out like vlogs, we've seen good conversion. So initially, the engagement might be more a couple of posts where they're doing either as a barter or paid. Then we ask them if this is something that they're willing to do. So we've seen in cases where they're able to make money out of it or they're able to see good results, then they definitely do that. You have to track and have all of the metrics in place, ensure all of the code and tracking and tools are in place. So they have a lot of transparency. So beyond the fact that how much money they make, another thing that they're considering is transparency. So I have made X. So have I received that X or am I only getting 50% of it or whatever? So building a lot of transparency, getting them an access to a dashboard, giving them results, ensuring it's paid on time. So these are some things that have helped us. And converting some of your regulars from the influencer program to an affiliate also works because they have the data on, X number of people have used my coupon code. So the potential of them making conversion increases.
Got it, got it. Uh, would you be able to name a couple of these tools that might be helpful to create dashboards, etc.? I think some Shopify apps are already there. Uh,
Yeah, I'll actually send it out after this call because
sure.
we've used a couple of them. So let
Yeah.
me ask the team which ones are better and I collate it together.
Sure, sure. Now, I think one very interesting thing that we wanted to touch upon in this discussion also was that uh, would you have an instance wherein, by building transparency, you were actually able to convert a very doubtful customer into an actual very loyal customer? Incidents that happened.
Due to transparency.
Yes, correct.
Sure. So we've definitely seen that offline. So the doubt in that case was predominantly on will this actually take off? So the way offline we do it today is our products are predominantly placed in GT and larger format stores, and we place it through distributors. So, like I said, because of the fact that we are a digital brand, the awareness was more only in our core customer base, and the fact that we've always targeted our content towards women. And what we initially had a lot of pushback, but then we slowly built trust with them. We told them, why don't you try it out? You place a really small order. If it takes off, you consider. So we didn't really try to dump any stock. We just stood there. We gave them feedback. In case they had challenges in selling or customer questions, we had answers ready. In certain large stores, we offered promoters ahead of time, even before they were able to meet their targets. In good faith that with a person being able to explain, they will be able to make more money. In case if they had feedback like on our packaging or our product and they told these are some things that you need to improve, we took that. In case of delivery, what we understood is that when we were doing delivery for them, there were certain time slots where they needed it. They needed certain help in loading and offloading. They gave us feedback on our display and how it could be better. So it's still a learning process. But what they constant feedback that we've received is we are one of the very few brands in the category that has feet on street, that takes feedback and works on it. So if our distributor or stores or dealers are complaining, we take it very positively because that means they really care and they feel that we'll be able to fix those things. So there are many other instances, but this is something that we are doing today actively, which will help us improve our offering for our customers across all channels.
I think this is also coming from the DNA that you were digital first. And there, I think the DNA is to take active feedbacks and to move really fast, right?
Yes,
And when you transfer that to GT or offline, if you're able to
correct.
do nothing like it.
Absolutely. And it's better that we try to fix any challenges early
Yeah.
before it reaches to the customer. So we are definitely very open to their suggestions and learnings because they've been doing it for longer.
Amazing. All right. So Madhumita, now what I'll do is I'll take up questions that have come our way. So we have two forms of questions. One are there in the chat. I will take them up also. And we had already gotten some questions while people were registering for the webinar, right? So I will address them later. So the first question in the chat that I can see is, what's your take on selling first on website versus Amazon, which is the best place to acquire customers?
Sure, that actually depends on what you're trying to sell. For us, even today, more than 50% of our sale is on the website. It could be by the factor that, we've always indexed on it better, we focused on it better as an organization. And also in the cookware category, it's only Amazon and Flipkart that are really your options today. Quickcom is up and coming. We will know as to how much they will be able to take a share in this category because right now it's small but growing. So maybe in the coming years, we'll be able to see that contribution, but it's a function of where your customer is buying that product from. So if you're like a 100 rupee snacking product, maybe for your quick com or an Amazon pantry makes more sense than your website, because even if I buy 2 to 3 items, my average order value is going to be less, for which you really cannot index heavily on your website. So it depends on what you're selling and where your customer is, so you can choose according to that. And also it's a function of your capability. If you feel at this point in time you as a founder and your team are more focused on, say, building content and managing your Meta and Google, and you're fairly placed in order to meet your website orders both in your unit economics and capability, then do that. Do one at a time and kind of build out the others as well.
Makes sense. Makes sense. All right. So the next question comes from Gokul Raj, who's the founder of Madcap's Workshops. So he says that considering you are in a kitchen utensil space, how do you get your customers to buy more from you? Cart building.
Sure. Sure, yeah. So this has been a challenge from us early on. We vigorously track our retention rates and what units are bought with each order, specifically on our website, again, because a large chunk is on the website where we have slightly greater control. So again, it goes back to talking to your customers. So what we've understood is that the customer might buy a set or a couple of products in the first order. Assuming they're happy, they'll come back to get few other items eventually in the next 12 months. The chances of them doing it higher is significantly higher in the first 3 months. And also what we've seen is that when you do a lot more activations, the chances of them converting is higher. So, relevantly, kind of bundling things. So, if someone has bought a tawa, would you like to upsell a kadai to them? So, be a little bit more intelligent on the retention. I will recommend having a dedicated resource for that who does this for their bread and butter. We've seen it increase from a 10% to a 25%. In addition to that, look at product launches. So what we've understood is that we thought we need to do only the bestseller sizes, considering we are online. We were very wrong. So even in our home, even if you're a family of three, family of four, we might hold multiple sizes. So let's say you're making sweets for Diwali, you need a large size. Or if you're having friends over and you're making biryani, then again you need a large size. But if it's just you for the day and you're making something for you, then you need a smaller size. So the same home, irrespective of the number of people, you need different sizes. You need different variants depending on what dish you're making. So for us, we've understood by having that, we are able to drive repeats, and you have to inform the customer. So whenever there's a new launch, 40 to 50% of the first 3 months sale is from our existing customers. So as long many times they don't even know. So when we do these home visits, what we realized is they'll be like, hey, you need to launch this. We'd be like, we already have that.
Mm.
So maybe they do not know. So we need to do a better job in telling the customer. We shouldn't like pollute their WhatsApp inboxes, but we've seen good conversion. in sending very tailored WhatsApp messages in a periodic fashion, which is useful for them. And also try to build a relationship with your customer where possible. One thing that we do is post purchase, we send them a message as to how they can use and care, wash, and maintain things, um, which is relevant for our category. If there's some other interaction that's more relevant in your category, consider that. So you're able to stay in their mind a little bit after as well. A few other things that might work is, can you do sampling? Can you do freebies? If it's a high repeat category, like for example, if you're in feminine hygiene or snacking or something like that, would you like to send a monthly reminder? Like pet food, I always get monthly reminders to, stock up. So things like that, which are actually useful and not only like, acha, there's a sale, come buy all my stuff, definitely helps build that relationship with the customer. And that will definitely keep increasing your repeats.
I think with WhatsApp, it's become all the more challenging and it's pushing us to be smarter with our communication because there's so much spam that happens that if you do not stand out in that clutter, people will just scroll and miss out the message.
Yeah, or they might archive you or, kind of
Yeah.
block and go.
Yeah. All right. So, Sumir, who is the founder of Steam Pro, he's also our Elevate Cohort 3 startup. He asks that how do you compete in a new category with a lot of small unbranded players, which is typically your case also, right? How do you
Sure.
compete there?
Sure. So I can take the example of a case where it worked and a case where it did not work for us. So till end of 2021, we were predominantly cast iron cookware brand, and we sold a little bit of iron cookware as well. But that's about it. We understood that in order to get more slots in that 25-30 piece in a kitchen, we need to sell stainless steel as well. And we picked a triply. And this came from a customer conversation. So we understood that when customer has to make citric substances, so let's say they're adding lemon or tamarind or tomatoes, which is like 90% of our sabji. So then they cannot use cast iron, and they're looking for other alternatives where they were using non-stick. So we understood that's a potential where we could work on, and we launched our tri-ply range. That was a launch that worked well because we did very deep customer insighting. We worried about it for a year. We spoke to people. We launched with only 4 products. And after that, we slowly iterated and made improvements to those products. And we added variants and sizes. So that really worked well for us. Today it contributes to a large chunk of our sale. Similarly, the sandwich bottom range worked very well for us because it came from a customer insight. So Triply, because of the build itself, tends to be a little bit more expensive. It's a north of 2000 for a piece of cookware, which is a little hard for someone to buy for all of their pieces. So we offered a little bit more affordable range in stainless steel, so they could mix and match, maybe a few of this and a few of that. So that launch also worked very well for us because when we talk to people who are doing abandoned carts, the price was a very big reason. So are they willing to compromise a little bit on some of the features in order to get better price? Yes, they were. So then we had to have 2 ranges in order to do that. We did similar amount of work in our water bottle range, which we launched in 2022, but that did not sit well for us. So when we spoke to our customers, what we understood is that we were very off in our pricing. So the mistake that we had done was in our sourcing. So in order to make a difference in a very cluttered market, understand where is a problem area, which a customer is willing to pay a certain amount of money. So if a customer is willing to pay 1,000 rupees for a vacuum bottle, I cannot sell 1,500. If I am going to sell 1,500, what is the value packing that you're doing? Why is it so special that they need to pay that? Or is your brand that way? Is it like a very expensive brand where it becomes a status symbol, like a Stanley? So you're using a Stanley cup. So that's a status symbol. So is that the way that you're going to build it? So figure out what is the gap, what is the customer willing to pay, what are the features that you need to build in it, and do a test launch. In India, I'm sure you will somewhere figure out a manufacturer who will be able to do small batches for you. take that feedback and see if people are willing to keep paying for it. And that's the only way you can do it. You will be wrong also, and that's okay. You can pivot and fix it as long as you don't commit into it deeply by doing container fulls. So that's probably how I would do it. I would take customer feedback, do a couple of 90-95% their kind of products, try to sell it, get feedback, and then go back to
So deep customer insight and solving a very key problem,
yes,
price point that you're aiming at. Makes sense. Makes
absolutely.
Got it. So Harshit, who's a CBO at Bonvi Snacks, asks, "My new product lacks market awareness, and unexpected experiences sometimes lead to dislike. How can I handle customer satisfaction in such cases?"
So is this like an awareness thing where the customer needs to be educated?
So what I understand is that there's already low awareness, and then you start on the wrong foot.
Understood.
Right.
Fine. So, yeah, especially in digital, wrong foot happens all the time
Yes.
because we are not accountable for the entire experience. With respect to awareness, that's something that you have to solve for digitally because it's cheaper to solve for it digitally. One thing that we do is we have an in-house content team. We realize that volume of content and consistency of content really matters. So it doesn't matter if you make the best in class content and launch it only once a week. People are really looking for freshness of content. They really want new stuff and they want to see it more frequently. So try to build IPs. So some brands do that really well, and even some individual sellers online do it really well. So if you're a food brand, why don't you create an IP regarding like making a recipe or making a snack, which people are looking forward to? That's again something that you'll understand by figuring out what content people are seeing. So try to do that. Parallelly, try to see if you can work with others as well. So the reason why I'm saying try to build your own IP is that actually it's cheaper than working with like influencers,
Right.
and your brand will stand for something. And definitely it will solve for the awareness problem. At least someone would have heard, seen. And when combining that with the influencer program, you will have a consistent pattern. And the other thing is when you have your content in house, some portion of it, you'll figure out what content works. So you can double click on that and then ensure that it reaches to more people. So in our case, one content that worked is comparing our cookware to non-stick cookware and telling why this is better. So literally like a split screen and comparing, why you should buy this over that. That's a format that works. So now that you understand that it works for you internally, why don't you do that in a paid format so the chances of you getting a return is better when you're doing it as an influencer content. So to solve for awareness, again, talk to your customer, try different messaging for your product. Whatever sticks, try to amplify it through influencers or through your ad budget. So then more people will get to know about you. And as you do this, make it in proportion to your distribution. So let's say that you are available across all quick com channels in certain cities, then why not focus your budget only on those cities? Or if you're an offline brand and you're predominantly present only in Bangalore, Chennai, and few other cities, then focus your budget accordingly. So be a little smart about it instead of trying to reach more people, reach more relevant people as much as possible.
Solve for one market deeply first before.
Correct. Correct. So even in the influencer, we solve for language. So what we understood is that in food, people try to go back to their mother tongue. So
Sure.
if and also the cuisine that they're following. So if I particularly would like to make idli batter, then I would probably see it in Tamil because then I would understand the ingredients mentioned. I mean, jeera is jeera, right? No one's going to
Right.
call it anything else. So we have targets per language. So similarly, in your case, in another brand's case, it might be very different. So they'll have to figure out that, build their niche, and then go up.
Got it. Makes sense. So, I think we mentioned snacks a couple of times,
Hmm.
right? And so I have a brand called The Good Kind. The founder Manas asks, "What should a newly launched snacking brand focus on first, and what should be the top three priorities?"
First thing I would do is get a very strong industry person. I mean, I'm not a snacking industry person, so that's something that I would do for the product. because in India we need to have a very robust supply chain. So what would happen is, let's say at the sampling stage, they gave me a grade A option, and at a batch stage, they kind of fudge the ingredients, then the customer experience would get ruined. So I would definitely get a strong team in product and quality in place. I would spend a lot of time on the marketing piece and packaging, because whom am I selling to? Because when it comes to food, it's an identity piece as well. You can sell chips to a school kid, you can sell chips to someone going to office, you can, I mean, the options are plenty. And what do you sell? The flavoring will change, the price point will change, everything, even your channel will change depending on how you would like to sell it. So once I have the marketing piece in place, then it'll obviously translate to things like packaging. And what I will definitely do is I'll do a lot of market testing and sampling, because it's very subjective, right? A chakli can be a murukku or something, but then the taste kind of changes. So you can't really make it pan India in that sense. So I would kind of localize it, and I'll make it strongly agreeable to my super user. So if I'm going to make a murukku, it's going to be a South Indian murukku first before I make it a chakli for say a Bombay. I will work on this, make it successful, and then do it that. So it's better to really lean in strongly into what people like, get that feedback, and then go forward. Because um, I need to have a set of super users who swear by it, so that it'll keep spreading. Instead of trying to make everybody happy, I will make a large segment of people happy first, and then go forward.
Got it. So there's another question. I think it's roughly covered in the entire session, but if in case we've missed something. So Nalini, who's the CEO of Sweet Karam's Coffee, she's asking for strategies for building retention. Uh,
Mhm. Sure. So again, it's a snacking question. So here maybe reminders on refills. Definitely having an app might help. So what I've understood is in high repeat categories, um, I've seen founders having good results on having apps. Today, phone space is no longer a constraint like it used to be. So assuming it's something that they really like, then that's definitely possible. And try to make your product launches in a way that it drives repeats. So again, in snacking, is someone more likely to buy a banana chip or potato chip from you than let's say a Mysore pak? I don't know. So what is something that people might buy more often? And also try to work on package sizes. So again, in food, price point matters. So when I'm going to try it for the first time, I might not be willing to pay more than 100 rupees. So try to maybe have smaller packs so people get to try you. Today, for a Haldiram's Bhujia packet, you know how it tastes, right? So if you're going to have a party at home, you don't mind buying a bigger pack because you're really certain that this is how the Bhujia is going to taste. But if I'm a new brand, I need to give people an opportunity to try my food out. So I understand that I might want to be in a certain package size, but try to have smaller, more affordable sizes as well. So let them at least try you out, give them the chance. Once they're happy, they'll definitely come back for more different sizes and all of that. Sampling also works. So all of these things might give them a good boost.
Got it. Got it. All right. So I have a question in the chat. Is personal branding the mandatory thing these days? I think this is with respect to founders also building their personal brands, right? So any thoughts on that?
Sure. So I am not very pro personal branding. So it's a very personal call as well. Um, is that something that you want to do? Are you going to spend a good chunk of your time in, I don't know, in PR, in talking certain things? So, but what I will say is that building relationships is important. So I prefer to do it more one-on-one. One. So let's say if I'm traveling to Delhi and Abhishek is there, I will request a couple of hours of his time, sit
Mhm.
down and have a cup of coffee. If I'm going to Bombay, I will again reach out to a few other founders. In Chennai, I meet at least 2 to 3 founders a month. So this one-on-one kind of works for me personally better. And I understand where they are in their journey. And next time, if I really need something, I can hit them up. Definitely, they're going to do a lot of things better than me. So when I get stuck somewhere, this helps me. The building of personal brand, I do not know where exactly it might help. One place it helps is hiring. So, one thing that we do in our HR team is we're really active on LinkedIn and we really write out what we believe is an organization. A lot of people after joining us have mentioned that they saw the content and that's something that they liked. So before you join a company, you would like to know what's the day in a life of in a company, what are some things you can look forward to. So that really helps you make a decision. So for me, that's exactly how I see it. Like, how useful is it for you? Will it help you hire good people? Will it help you raise money? Will it help your brand reach more people? If these the if the answer to these questions are is a big yes, then definitely do it because it will take a lot of your time. But that also means you're a little open to criticism. So a lot of things that you are saying will not be taken at in context. It might be taken out of context as well. So is that something you're willing to cope with in order for the benefits? So it's a mixed bag. It depends, and it's a personality question as
Makes sense. I think it has to be objective led because in the early stage, it's going to take up a significant amount of time and bandwidth, right? So you have to
well.
allocate that
Absolutely.
time, whether it makes sense or not. We have another question, which where it says that as an early stage entrepreneur, is it fair to spend high on website creation? I think instead of fair, maybe they're trying to ask, does it make sense to spend high bucks on website in the initial phase? And there's another question actually, which also I would like to like sort of tie in that. In CPG category, what would you recommend? Digital or offline, online or offline? So, right, if you're going online, is it does it make sense to spend a lot, or should you just start from offline?
Sure. So, EPG, it depends on what price point you're selling and what is the logistics cost you'll incur. So, look at your unit economics. If your unit economics is healthy, which will give you a double digit CM2, you can definitely focus and index your sale a lot on online. Whatever you do, ensure your marketing is heavily indexed online because your customers need to know you. So, once you choose to go offline or quick com or any other channel, you'll be able to figure that out. So first, look at your unit economics. Is your average order value healthy for the acquisition cost that you have? Is it healthy for the logistics cost that you're going to incur? So look at it at a channel wise and try to prioritize that and see how you can apportion your digital spends accordingly. So today, customer might see your Instagram ad and make a purchase in Spar or the Reliance Smart as well, but the decision was made online. They saw the content online and that's when they decided to buy. So try to understand where your unit economics is better and figure out how you can optimize for that.
Got it. And website creation, I think today that can be done at a lower cost also, right?
I
With
would typically
options.
iterate it. So
Yeah.
let's say initially you're expecting a 10 lakh sale monthly on your website. Don't spend too much on it. There are a lot of freelancers. There are sites like Upworks, Fiverr, where you can get a lot of good quality work done at an affordable price and a quick timeline. Start with Shopify. It has 90% of the things that you need. And as the sale increases, you can definitely work with better consultants and better agencies and keep improving the site. So it allows you to build a theme parallelly. So let's say from a 10 lakh, you hit a 50 lakh and you want to add more features, work on it parallelly and make it live. And here again, talk to customers and figure. Like one thing we found out was that the customers wanted the coupon code upfront. So
Hmm.
then instead of me trying to build a solution for it, if you work with someone like GoQuick, who has the option in the checkout for you to highlight the coupon code, it'll save you a lot of trouble.
Right.
So iterate and improve, need not spend a lot.
Makes sense. Okay, so the next question is, how do you see the market trend for plant-based or organic home care cleaning products? There are a few big players and many small and unbranded ones, but still emerging as people are not willing to pay a premium for green products.
Sure. So this is a little tricky because I've seen people pay a premium when it's not a high repeat product. So again, cookware, if I'm going to sell it double the price, as long as I'm packing all the value and the customer sees benefit in it, they're going to buy. Uh, Try to see what problem you're solving. Yes, everybody would like to be green, But as a consumer, when I'm using it in my home, uh, uh, what is something that, is a big sell for me. So let's say if I have pets at home and it's not going to cause them allergy, is that a big sell? So will my dog be safe from allergies or rashes? Will my child be safe from that? Or will it help me? Can I reuse the water by pouring it into my plants once I'm done with mopping? Because a lot of people have water bills to pay as well, in addition to many other things. So, what is the other pro, that a win that I get as a customer? Try to sell that to me. And then I will definitely see value in paying in that premium, especially when it comes to benefit for pets or children, because they tend to spend a lot of time on the floor and end up licking the floor as well. So, thus cleaning solutions that way also make a sense for them. So that's about it.
Got it. I think it's already 6:02. Do you have 5 more minutes?
Yeah,
Uh,
definitely.
okay, awesome. So we have a couple of more questions. In a skincare brand, how to get more engagement and attract more customers?
I think that's getting harder and harder every day. 1 second.
Sure.
It just says skincare, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, so again, try to look at a particular problem that you're trying to solve. We're all filled with a umpteen number of insecurities that need to be solved, and we're looking for solutions. So, and also try to look at age group. So, for example, hair fall for a man in his 30s is very different for a hair fall for a woman in her 40s or 50s, because the hormone that's related, the process that is there is very different, or even for children. So all of this is very different. Be very targeted. Try to show results. So what we've seen is, as long as we're able to show tangible results, customers are willing to buy. So in your case, are you able to show? I know it's very tacky with the before and after kind of works. And this has worked for us since donkey long years, since 2016. Some of our best performing campaigns are the before and after, especially in skincare. Take real results, talk to real customers, understand where the impact is there, and ensure that it's communicated clearly, and build for the super user. So instead of trying to sell it to everybody, if you've understood that this works really well for postpartum, for example, after childbirth, the solution will be really great for the hair, and this is something that they can do. Really focus on that. Focus on the mom group. So as long as it's targeted, you'll spend lesser. You're talking to a very core set of audience, and then they'll eventually start trying more of your stuff, and you can sell to more different categories of people as well.
Got it. So, Madhumita, I have a question. You actually use super user a couple of times. Can you help us define that? Like, typically, who will you call a super user? Can be different for categories, but for you, who's that?
That would be someone who uses your product very frequently. So you can define the frequency as like three or more purchases in a year. Someone who advocates for your brand, either through word of mouth or reviews. She is that person who is typically recommending, hey, you should buy this mixer grinder. You should definitely get this tawa if you want this great dosa. So she will be the one who gives you word of mouth and recommendations. um, Potentially could be an early adopter.
Hmm.
So even when it's not in trend, they might be one of those people who try it, and they might be one of those people who give you feedback as well. So a
Hmm.
lot of our super users are the ones who even called and told us feedback. Some people drop emails, some people ping on LinkedIn saying, "Hey, all of this is fine, but this really sucks, and you really have to fix it." So that means they still have hope that you're going to fix it very soon. And they're also in a way some sort of community leaders within their own group, because that person in our category might be might be the one you quickly call if you have a recipe doubt, or if you really want to know which is the best product in the market. And for a brand, they will have a longer lifetime value. So sometimes you can't track it. She might not be making the purchases herself. She might be asking a friend and family to make it, but we've seen very anecdotal evidences for this, where, for example, a daughter would recommend it to her mother, and then she would recommend it to a friend. And she's actually been the core super user who's made other people buy, but the data will not allow you to understand that. So that's why, again, talking to people will help you understand. But they keep buying from you, they talk about you, they talk to you and give you feedback as well. So these are the people who would be your super users.
Got it. Got it. Another question is, how do you manage your ad spends, and do you have a tool to optimize and target and improve your ROAS?
Sure. So the ROAS is a perennial problem for everybody. So we have very detailed trackers. Our team looks at more than 200 metrics on a daily basis. And our campaign structure is something they experiment with and learn from. We strongly believe in a in-house digital marketing team. Even if it's skeletal, even if it's just one intern, please have it. So what it'll allow you to do is to look at those numbers on a daily basis, and we've understood that freshness of content and being hands on deck definitely helps. You can use an agency to learn the best in class practices. So, what we do is we on and off work with different agencies. So, they definitely highlight some things where we can improve. They give us learnings from other brands. But to run it on a day to day, to have that level of control and making those changes on a daily basis, as a founder, you or any one of your key members need to be on it, because otherwise we'll spend money without realizing where it's going. So I strongly recommend an in-house team, even if it's just an intern, and you schedule 1 hour with an intern and figure out what's happening and have some trackers in place. That definitely helps, and you'll understand what content works, what kind of formats work for you, and you can really double down on that.
So you'll have to, in early stages, you'll have to actually do it with someone yourself. And then eventually maybe tools can help, right?
Yeah, tools, I mean, tools are dime a dozen. You can definitely figure out which ones work for you, but then it depends on what problem you're trying to solve, right? So for you, you'll have to map out the entire funnel and see, is traffic the problem? Is conversion the problem? Is add to cart the problem? Where
Hmm.
exactly is your challenge is something that you'll figure out once you have the numbers in place. And that is a problem that will keep changing. So let's say you've launched a new category, you might have invested money on it, but conversion might not be happening. So what is the problem in that case? So is it because your website is loading slowly, so people are leaving and they do not have the patience? Is it because people feel it's too expensive, so they're not even adding to cart? Or are
Hmm.
they having incomplete information? Or are they not happy with the checkout experience, so they're not buying? So these are some things that you can solve for. Definitely have some tool that will allow you to have the website recordings like a Microsoft Clarity in place, so you will
Hmm.
understand where are the rage clicks and why exactly people are dropping off. So these things will help you avoid some basic issues.
Got
What are those metrics? Yeah, we track that at an ad level. Everything from what are the sessions to what is the conversion. From our top products, we track the entire funnel, and we also track all of our influencer metrics. So depending on which team member, they would have different numbers. But in essence, it's both your input and output metric.
got it. Got it. All right, Madhumita, I think that covers everything. People are already writing amazing responses and great session. Thank you so much for taking out time and spending this 1 hour with people who want to learn, and so many more learnings, I'm sure. But thanks a lot, Madhumita.
Thank you so much for having me. I just wanted to, I just hope that it was very useful, and I'm very much active on LinkedIn. I'm looking forward to connect with your cohort offline as well.
Awesome. Thanks a lot. Thank you,
Yeah,
Madhumita. Thank you, everyone. Uh,
thank you.
have a great weekend ahead.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye.